What's good, my amazing friends? This is The Remedy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sarah Grace, The Remedy with Sarah Amazing Grace. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me again, another week, another show. And you guys, today's show, it's not going to be that long. I just kind of wanted to jump on here. We've had some really long shows in the past couple of weeks, haven't we? They've gone pretty long. And generally, I like to keep my show in the between 15 and 25 minute range. But, you know, when there's stuff that needs to be said and done, and hey, listen, I can't hold back what the Lord wants to do. Okay. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging in for the long shows and tuning in for the shorties. And so you guys, okay. Today I just have a quick story for you. Okay. As if I'm just, you know, you guys are my friends. Okay. And I just want to chat with my friends about something cool that happened to me. All right. So have you ever had God like show up in a way that was specifically speaking just to you, like somebody else wouldn't get it, but you get it? It's just for you, right? It's a little bit of, I don't know, I kind of call it like, you know, it's God, you know, like a wink from God, right? From the God who sees. The Bible calls him Jehovah Roy, or the name of God, of the God who sees. And I want to share a story with you guys. Okay. Let me show you something. You see these shoes right here? And no, I'm not advertising these shoes, but aren't they cute? Okay. So these shoes, they're smooth brown leather. And, I was at a recent event, that I was invited to, and they gifted us some stuff, and, I was gifted these shoes, and oh my gosh, you guys. So when I got home, and I unpacked my suitcase and everything else, I put them on, and they're the most comfortable pair of shoes that I have ever worn, maybe, but they're definitely the most comfortable that I own. I mean, no joke, you guys, I could walk miles in them, and I already have. And they don't look like, you know, they've got a cork sole and arch support, but they, you know, they look like they're high heel shoes, but they're amazing. And you guys, anyway, if you're listening to this on one of our listening channels, you guys, they are a cork sole, brown, smooth leather. If you have a device where you can watch us, head over to Rumble and look at me showing you my cute shoes. Okay, there's a reason I'm showing you shoes. Hang in there with me. Oops, as I drop the shoes. Don't worry about that. Anyway. Head over to our Rumble channel, Sarah Amazing Grace, and you can check out what the shoes look like. Anyway, I loved them so much, and they're so comfortable that I went online and I thought, you know, your girl wears brown, she wears black too. I wanted a black pair, right? And I didn't want them in suede as they had come in at the conference. I wanted them in smooth black leather. So I, you know, went online and looking, and dude, they were sold out everywhere in black. And, I mean, I even went to eBay looking for them. And in my size 9, they were sold out everywhere. And then like, ooh, I would maybe come across a pair that might ship to me in 2 months or something. And they were over $100 for this pair of shoes. And I get it. They're really nice. They're really comfortable. But did I want to spend $100 on a pair of shoes right now? You know, you kind of, at least for me, that may seem like a lot to some people, $100, and to other people, they're like $100 for a pair of shoes is not that much. Spend the money, right? And I get it. I have a lot of shoes that some of them cost more than $100 and some of them cost less. And anyway, that being, you know, not being said, right now, okay, listen, I'm bougie for sure, but right now this girl, I'm kind of balling on a budget. You know what I mean? And so I talked myself out of it. I closed the browser and I thought, no, not right now. I'm not going to spend that money. But then a few days later, I opened the browser again and I was looking at the shoes like, I really could use them in black. I love them. Could I justify it? I mean, they were incredibly comfortable. They're super cute. They would be used a ton. Can I justify it? Okay. Anyway, and back and forth I went, right? Just Sarah, go ahead and get them. Go ahead and get them. But then wait, over here, my husband is saying like, hey, can you kind of chill the flow for a minute, and you can buy them, but let's just kind of chill on that. So anyway, I better not. But anyway, I had talked to him about wanting them, but I didn't really talk to anybody else about wanting these particular shoes in black, smooth leather, anyway. But a few days would go by and Sarah, you want those shoes? Boy, I sure could wear those shoes if I had them in black. I'd go back online and I'd look at the whole, anyway. Then I would just put it aside, and then a week or so later. So like we're talking about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, every couple of days I would look for these stupid shoes. Anyway, I mean, it's not even that serious, right? But then I would, just shelve the idea, no pun intended. But anyway, are you still with me? Hang in there. I know that hang in there. It gets really good. Okay. Listen to the story. Anyway, so I'm trying to chill my flow, right? And I talked about that. So I decided that I'm on camera every week, and, I speak at speaking engagements. And so I'm like, I need a few more blouses maybe, or maybe some cool dresses, right? Maybe some home decor. Listen, I met this girl and she and I hit it off. Hey, sue me. And, that's her name, by the way. Don't sue me. Her name is Sue Me. And she, oh my gosh, man, like, her fit is outstanding. She has the most incredible fashion. She is a fashion icon in my book. Anyway, hi, if you're watching, sue me. Anyway, I asked her, I'm like, girl, where the heck do you get all of your amazing dresses? You just get these incredible dresses. And she's like, girl, I get them at the Goodwill. And I'm like, what? Anyway. So that was kind of ruminating in my head. And I thought, I'm going to pop over to the Goodwill. We're in Texas. I've never been to any of the Goodwills down here. I don't even know how they roll, but this was my first time. And I thought, all right, well, maybe I can find a cool dress like, what Sumi has. So anyway, so I walk into the Goodwill, the closest one that's nearest to our house. And I walk in and there was a rack of shoes. Okay. And well, it's the shoe department, if you will. And if you've ever been to the Goodwill or anything about the Goodwill, I know that I have listeners and watchers from all over the world. And so the Goodwill is an organization that you can bring your gently used or even new clothes to, and that it's a resale shop essentially. And so at any rate, there'll be shoes that people have put out there, and sometimes they're new, and sometimes they're, used. But at any rate, so I walk in and it's not like a shoe store. So they don't have multiple sizes of the same shoe. It's just what somebody has donated, their own personal shoe or whatever. So anyway, I walk into the Goodwill, and you guys, the rack of shoes that was right in front of me was all, different sizes, but they were the black shoes because they group them by color. And I look at the rack, and you guys, what? The shoes that I have been, if you are not watching, I'm holding up black, smooth leather, the exact Corky's boutique shoe that I've been looking for online for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, closing it, opening it, closing it, opening it. I don't want to spend $100 on a pair of shoes. This exact pair of shoes, my heart began to pound, you guys. And I reach for them. They still have the tags on them, the sale tags on the soles of these shoes. And I turn them over to look at the size. They're my size. They're my size. The exact smooth leather black Corky shoes that I've been looking at. And they're the only ones and they're my size at the store that I chose to go to. And they were only $5.99. So here I am in the Goodwill, you guys. I'm holding it together, but inside, I mean, okay, I'm a crier. You guys have been with me long enough, or if you have, you know that, Sarah, I tend to cry easily. I'm touched very easily, and inside I just wanted to crumble into a ball and cry my eyes out. You know that saying that they have, like, in that moment, like, I felt seen. And I did, you guys, but I felt seen by God. And something that, maybe to you, you're like, oh, that's lame, Sarah. But no, I'm serious, you guys. This was a desire in my heart that no one knew except myself and my husband and God. God saw that. And so here I was at this Goodwill in the new state that I live, and there's the shoes, and they're my size, and they're the exact ones I was looking for, brand new shoes, and they were $5.99. And I was just like, to somebody else, it might be like, whatever. But to me, it was like, yo, the God of the universe, the God who created the universe, but the God of heaven and earth, who created all things, okay, we know the scriptures. He knows every hair on our head, right? And, the scriptures, like, he formed us in the womb, and, like Jeremiah 1:5, it shows us, God even has a calling on our lives even before we're born, right? And in that moment, in this Goodwill, it was just this incredible, I call them spiritual breadcrumbs that just kind of let you know, like, hey, Sarah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Even, in all of the, things that you're going through in your life, I'm with you. And it's this little breadcrumb that keeps you on the path. You know what I mean? And so, or just a wink, like, I'm here with you, Sarah. And, these moments all along the journey there, these little God winks. But to me, it wasn't just a breadcrumb, you guys. This shoe to me was like a whole loaf of bread. It was a whole spiritual meal to me, because I sometimes feel a little bit like, am I out here just bawling alone? I know you're there, God, but you got a lot of stuff to do. Do you really know all the hairs on my head, And in that moment, I felt seen. And I thought of, Genesis chapter 16 about Hagar. Hagar, if you don't know the whole story, I'm going to sum it up real quick. It's, Abraham and Sarah, they're married. This is Sarah's maidservant. Abraham and Sarah were given by God a promise to have a son, and Sarah couldn't have children. And so she thought, well, I'm going to help God out, because clearly God was wrong. It's not coming from me. So maybe it'll come from me giving up my maidservant to Abraham so that they could have a kid. And so they did. They had a son, named him Ishmael. Then Sarah did get pregnant, and there was some jealousy that was going on. Anyway, and Hagar was, through no fault of her own, but she was cast out into, a wilderness area, and she was really afraid, and, thought that her baby was gonna, starve to death, and that she was going to, be brought out there to die. And God showed up, and, her whole story, it's kind of, her whole story is, how God takes care of her. God gave Abraham this, this promise about his descendants, but he also then gave that same promise to, slightly different, but a similar promise to Hagar about her son. And, and then that goes on to a whole other thing about, Israeli line, the Palestinian line and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm saying is that Hagar says, you are the God who sees me. She says, have I truly seen the one who sees me? In that moment, she felt seen, and, it's those times in our lives where, many people walked past that shoe rack. There was a ton of people in that Goodwill that day. Nobody saw these shoes. No, I mean, they maybe saw them, but it wasn't for them. They were for me. And anyway, so El Roy, or Jehovah Roy, the God who sees me, and in that goodwill, I felt that every detail. God knew. I didn't even need to pray about it, you guys. I hadn't prayed like, oh Lord, can you please send me these shoes? I didn't. God just knew that I needed to be seen by him, or needed to know that I was being seen, because God is always with us, and it's like, yeah, these shoes are rad and I've worn them a ton since, and every time I wear them, I think, wow, thank you so much, Jehovah Roy, for seeing me and these silly shoes, right? Like the world is coming apart at the seams, but you sent me these dang shoes, and it's so amazing. And the bigger gift of it all isn't the shoes, you guys. The bigger gift is knowing that I'm not alone, right? And of course I'm not alone. I have friends, I have family, I'm married, I'm not alone, but inside, sometimes you can be in a room filled with people, but inside you feel alone. Have you ever felt like that? Or maybe that messenger from Satan comes and whispers in your ear, and somehow you can feel like you've been abandoned by God, or, God doesn't care about you. There's all these little whispers that go on in our minds and in our thoughts, and we can talk ourselves up a tree and back down again, can't we? But sometimes we just need to be reminded. Sometimes God is silent. That's true. Absolutely. And there's reason for that. There's reason in those times of silence. For sure. For sure. For sure. But sometimes God shows up in ways that only you will recognize, in ways that only I would recognize. These silly shoes for $5.99 at the local Goodwill. But that was, to me, God coming in a way that made me feel not alone on this, rock floating through space, or whatever it is, right? God exists outside of space, outside of our time, and he sees the big picture, you guys. He sees the even bigger picture. He sees the big picture and the bigger picture. And he knows what we need in any particular time to keep us going on our calling, on our journey. He gives us those winks, those spiritual breadcrumbs, the whole loaf of bread when we need it. All along the way, sometimes he speaks loudly, and sometimes he speaks with a pair of shoes, right? But without a doubt, you guys, to feel seen, it's amazing. It's humbling. It renews your strength in the fight. You can keep going. The Bible says in Psalms 34, verse 8, it says, taste and see that the Lord is good. And when these moments happen, you guys, it's amazing. It is delicious. It is a spiritual bread that is just absolutely, I can't even Oh, so many times in the Bible, like the eyes of the Lord watch over those who do right. His ears are open to their cries for help. Even his ears don't even have to be open. I wasn't crying for help with these shoes, but God saw me opening up my browser, right? When we pray, we talk to God, we cast all our cares on him, for he cares for us, right? But take heart in knowing that even when we don't, God still sees. He hears our hearts. He knows every thought. And in the times when he is speaking and in the times when he's being silent, in both of those different ways, you guys, our faith is being built. In the silent times, we have to trust him. And in the speaking times, both of them together build our faith in very different but necessary ways, right? So know this, my friends, you might be in a place right now where you feel alone. Right now, listening or watching, you might be feeling alone. And if you are, even if you're surrounded by people, I'm not talking about the physical proximity to another human being. I'm talking about that inner space inside where sometimes we feel like no one gets it. No one understands. They don't know what I'm going through. In that unseen place, know that Jehovah God, Jehovah Roy, is with you. He sees you. You are never alone. You guys, from the womb to the tomb and into eternity, he is with you. He has a plan for your life, and whatever you need to get to the next moment, spot, space, he will provide. He will be there. He sees you. I promise you that. Now I'm going to go put my shoes on, and I think I'm going to wear my new black shoes. My fun little reminder and a wink from God. Thank you, God. I love you guys. And until next week, peace.